You're tuned to Pacifica Radio, the Mighty 90, listener-sponsored, commercial-free, independent, community-based. We are actual, true, local public radio, funded by the people, for the people. We, the people's radio station, using the people's airways to do the people's business. And I hope you appreciate that, because it is truly, truly rare. Listen around. What's out there?
Well, Egberto Willies is KPFT's own political junkie who follows all the hot spots in the news about elections, policies, lawmaking, politicians, and the people's reactions to it all. We are very fortunate to have as our guest this morning, Egberto Willies.
All right, and host of Politics Done Right, heard this very afternoon, 3 o'clock.
We're keeping you in town tonight, that's for sure, right?
Yes, you sure are.
You've been here all day.
Welcome to the morning.
Well, muchas gracias. But you know something, Duane? I don't think you were completely accurate. I saw you on YouTube way before now.
Oh, well.
But being on YouTube and posting a YouTube to his Facebook account, two separate entities.
Right. There's a big learning.
You know,
nice.
Sort of like being pulled over for a traffic violation or an injunction and not ending up out of the situation. Two different entities.
Ouch. Are we alluding to something there?
Yeah, I'm going straight into it because we've been talking about it all morning. And I was very distraught this morning driving in and listening to Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! I cried on the freeway. It was the Sandra Bland thing has been very upsetting. The news today just thinking about it upsets me. It really does. And I can't believe that this has happened right here in our own backyard, that this type of injustice has been happening under our feet. And you've been there. You're on the front lines. You have been to the memorial service. You've done the protest. You've talked to Sandra Bland's mom.
Actually, I was at the memorial, and I recorded the speech that she gave. I don't want it to come across like I actually had a personal conversation with her.
Fine.
But I mean, she was straight about what she intended to do. She wants to bury her daughter, and after she buries her daughter, she says it's war. Mm-hmm. In other words, she's very upset. Well, we're all upset as far as exactly what happened out there, because nobody can believe this is happening. Ironically, and I don't want to go off subject, but a similar event has just occurred a couple of days ago in Alabama as well. Again. You know, so I mean, but when it comes to this, you know, a lot of us are getting really into this, you know, because we have Bland, we have Garner, we have all these different occurrences. But I think I heard Duane allude to it before. We have cameras now. This isn't for those of us that have been out there for a long time. This has been a reality, but it's been a reality that nobody could actually see because they never saw it. And now that they're seeing it, it's like, oh, this is really happening. And now that it's happening, some folks are paying attention. I don't know, earlier you had mentioned about Netroots. I don't know when you want to segue into that.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, because believe it or not, what occurred when Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley got interrupted at Netroots by Black Lives Matter, that was actually Sandra Bland was actually the genesis of what occurred out there. They looked at what the platform was of these politicians, of all of them actually, and what they said was, you know, we know that we have an economic problem, we have a income inequality problem, but absent that, whether that problem is solved or not, there are still other problems that affect a particular or several segments within this society that weren't going to be handled. Mm-hmm. And where is that within your platform? And what really got a lot of people, I'm going to speak about this later on at 3 o'clock, but what a lot of people were upset about was the reaction within the room. They expected more out of a liberal base than they received, because they asked questions and they asked for direct answers, and what they were getting from the politicians were the stump speeches as a response to every part of the question. So it then looked like these young folks were being rude, because once the answers came and it wasn't the questions weren't being answered, they revolted. They did what activists do.
Right.
So.
And activists do. Activists are not quiet.
No.
So put this into context for us, would you please, Egberto? Netroots Nation 2015. Okay, what is Netroots? What is Netroots Nation? What's going on? Why was there something happening in Phoenix? Give us a little background on that.
Okay. Back in when Bush ran, a guy named Marcus Mulitzes, he formed a blog site called Daily Kos. And then Daily Kos, it got very popular with a lot of liberal...
Very quickly.
A lot of liberal bloggers throughout the country just loved the site, and we went out there and we did a whole lot of, blogging about issues, and, some of us we blogged anonymously there, et cetera, et cetera. Well, they finally made a foundation around the people that go, that blogged at this place. It was called the Netroots Foundation. I think it was the Netroots Nation Foundation or something like that. And started to have these large conferences every year throughout the country. We've had it in Austin.
Austin had one, yeah.
Austin had one. We've had it in
But
San Jose.
Arizona.
That there's a backstory to Arizona
There's
that
got
isn't
to be.
nice. Yeah, no, but we have these conferences every year where there are panels that get together to sort of educate activists on how to better be activists.
Right.
It also brings in several companies that want to get their wares in the hands of activists, and mostly it brings a whole lot of politicians who want the support of all these bloggers that are out there writing, because we're talking about all the liberal bloggers in the country in one place at one time. And so, these guys can kill one stone with, kill several birds with one stone right there. Anyhow, when that has been going on for several years now, since the Bush administration. But one of the big issues that occurred for Arizona was they wanted to make it centered on immigration. If you remember, Arpaio, the sheriff in Arizona.
Freddie, sure.
Yeah, our good friend.
They're going to eat blue bologna or they're going to starve.
They're going to wear pink.
And pink underwear, So they decided to have it out there. And in fact, while out there, what we had a huge protest that marched straight down to Arpaio's office and did the stunt and the whole thing. Got that on video as well.
Didn't hear anything about that on the news.
You won't. There are a lot of things that occurred that never made it to the news, and that's one of the reasons I said, I'm still writing up some of the stuff with what occurred in the room, because the news is trying to spin it as if there is dissension within the liberal base, and there is, they're trying to spin a whole lot of things, and Hillary Clinton was so smart not to show up at Netroots Nation, because look at how Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley was handled. Well, here's the case. Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley handled it completely differently. Bernie Sanders looked at it and said, wow, learning experience. By the time Bernie got to Houston, his stump speech
the next day
was changed. The next day, in fact, it was changed. And not only was it changed, but, Bernie has always been an activist.
Yeah.
Bernie has always been a civil rights activist. All Bernie needed was folks to, Bernie's from Vermont. How much does a guy from Vermont know about what occurs in places like Houston and
Waller
and Waller County or whatever? Well, he got his information, and yesterday I wrote a blog piece with a piece he did with Ed on the Ed show.
Ed Schultz.
Ed Schultz, right?
That's right.
And it's amazing how Bernie has changed. It's not only now income inequality, but it's about social justice now, and a smooth transition.
Yeah.
Smooth transition. That's what activism does.
Right. So he's actually able to respond and to react to the information that he's receiving from the people that he's talking to, instead of just giving the talking points like so many of the other candidates are doing.
Absolutely. I can't, if I'm ignorant of something, right, that's one thing. But if I'm ignorant of something, then somebody enlightens me and I remain ignorant, then something is wrong with me.
Yeah.
You know, Vern is a smart dude.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with you, Egberto. So
well, I don't know.
We're not worried about that. We're not worried about that one at all.
So you said all the liberal bloggers in the Netverse were in Phoenix.
Yes.
Including Egberto, by the way, who you should follow.
How big a Netverse are we talking?
Well, I mean, the people that are actively blogging, I want to say, you know,
a couple thousand?
Easily. I mean, now, you remember I said there was a backstory to Arizona. As you know, Arizona is a right-to-work state. I like to call it a right-to-work-for-less state, right? And
like us.
Like us, yeah. And I don't... Marcus Malitzas, who runs Daily Coast, wasn't happy to have it in Arizona, and because of that, of course, our good friend wasn't out there this time around, and a whole lot of folks that would have normally been there, they weren't there.
Because of boycotting Arizona.
Because of, and, you know, I had to make the decision whether to go or not, and I figured the networking and also bringing back some more information that I'll place on Daily Coast was probably worth it. Because, again, Marcus never said, hey, you guys, let's boycott it. He just said, personally, I'm boycotting it, and some other folks decided to, sort of boycott it with him as well. But I felt, you know, most of us needed to be there anyhow.
Well, and it provided the opportunity for a visit to Sheriff Arpaio's joint, and
I agree that really is good, but I know I personally am avoiding Arizona like the plague.
Right.
But that's okay. We're looking at something that a caller sent in actually during the trending topics segment of today's show, and they said that they observed while they were going to the Bernie Sanders speech, a lot of people being pulled over by the state troopers, and basically...
the question being, is there anything we can do to make police officers react better than to do as they appeared to do? I didn't observe that, but I was kind of preoccupied with
getting in
a family emergency. No, I wasn't even able to go. I'm one of the people who reserved a seat and didn't sit.
Wow. It was full.
Yeah.
It had a lot of people. Personally, I don't know the answer to that. All I can tell you is what I do when I get stopped by a cop, and that is...
Walk us through this.
Look, first of all, it is simple. Whenever a cop stops me, my two hands are always on the top and visible on the wheel.
10 and 2.
10, exactly.
10 and 2.
I turn, when he tells me to present my license, I specifically say, sir, I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to put it in my back pocket, and it's as ridiculous as that sound. That is what I do, because I figured the humiliation for 5 minutes is not worth my life. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I do. And it's funny because I was coming to KPFT a few months ago, and I got stopped. And I did the whole works, and you know, the cop stopped me, and I asked him to go to my back pocket. I presented it to him and everything, and then, you know, I am, yes, sir. What else do you need, sir? He goes and he checks me out. He comes back, and he said, you know why I stopped you? No, sir, I don't know why you stopped me. Well, you crossed in an intersection. Well, okay, sir. Well, I'm waiting for the ticket. He said, well, I'm going to give you a warning. I said, thank you, sir. And, you know, I'm about to drive off. Then I stopped. Then I put my hands out and I said, look, I want to talk to you. And then he said, huh? I said, yeah, I need to talk to you. Can I come out of my car? Mm-hmm. And then he said, yeah, come on. So I looked at him and I said, I'm going to tell, I've been stopped before, and you were the nicest officer that ever stopped me. So this makes a difference to me. And then I asked him a couple of questions, and then I looked at him and said, let's go take a selfie, buddy. And I took a selfie, put it on my blog post, and I wrote a blog about having been with a nice cop, because most of it was
because it was such a rare experience.
Exactly. It was such a rare experience. When I blogged it, apparently the sergeant found it somehow and gave the guy a commendation.
Nice.
I mean, but what the thing, I got blasted by a lot of my readers by saying, "Why are you doing this?" I mean,
why are you being friends with them?
Not being friends. Why am I commending him for something that he should have already done? And I said, well, as an you just said it.
Yeah.
As an encouragement for others to do it, because I mean, these guys are vicious, especially if you are a person of color. And I hate to. I mean, it's not a race card that I'm trying to play, because I don't do that. But, I mean, I think it is high time for, I mean, we have it on videos now and that sort of thing, but it's high time for Americans to come to the realization that there are two justice systems in this country. There are two justice systems in this country, and unless we're honest with it, we keep having problems, you know? So that's my little piece.
Well, of course, and you did cover this so elegantly on one of your past shows, which is so interesting that you had a police officer on the line as one of your callers.
Yes.
And I loved the fact that you made him sit there and listen to the story.
Well, I mean,
it was great.
I mean, the reality is we pay for police officers,
and to keep us safe, not to be in fear of it, for sure.
We pay for police officers. I mean, we should. I mean, I always sit down and think sometimes, why are we fearful of police officers? Why should we be fearful of these guys if we're paying their salaries?
Because the moment that you say, you work for me, I'm paying your salary, you've just escalated it, and you've put yourself into a confrontation from which you might not return.
Exactly. But again, like I said, I mean, there are issues like community boards that I don't remember what they call them, some sort of community boards that I think would solve some of these problems that we need.
Like a citizens review board.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a petition in the KPFT lobby that's been there for a while asking people to sign up for that, for the HPD.
Yes.
This is not just a DPS. This is not just a country thing. This doesn't just happen in Waller County.
Right. I honestly believe that also, people talk about training or whatever. There's something that we covered. I don't know if you remember the show, Marlo, where we actually said the police department is just a reflection of our society at large. So if you really want to do something about it, you have to change society. But in the meantime, you have to pass laws. Yes, we have to change society, but in the meantime, we have to pass laws that actually mitigate what's wrong with society as far as, a lot of these issues are concerned. And when we do that, citizens review boards, and also for change, I love unions. I think unions are great. But when unions get beyond salaries and that sort of stuff and start going into culture, I think that's a problem, because if you take a look at how it goes on in New York, the unions are much more than trying to continue having these police officers with a good salary, good retirements or whatever. It's a lot deeper than that, and I think they're actually hurting society at large the way they operate. So I don't know how you solve that one, but I sure think something needs to be done there.
Well, and certainly talking about it is the beginning of a process that might lead us forward. It's 8:45. You're tuned to Pacifica Radio, 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas, kpft.org. Egberto Willies, the world-renowned Nets Nation blogger and producer-host of the KPFT Thursday afternoon at 3 program called Politics Done Right. Our guest here in the studio today. We're stepping outside to check traffic and weather. We'll be back in just a moment. Please stay with us.
And as we try to make the best of this ordinary Thursday, even amidst imperfection, today is Remembrance Day in Papua New Guinea, Renaissance Day in Oman, and Revolution Day in Egypt. So take your pick how you want to celebrate. 83 degrees outside right now here in Houston, a high near 100 degrees this afternoon. Moisture is unlikely, but not impossible. Form of sudden showers and thunderstorms. Could be only a little worse. Phoenix will peak near 104 degrees outside today. And out there on the concrete ribbons, the gasoline-powered carriages are starting to clear up a little bit. A few exceptions. That was terrible. I'm sorry. A few exceptions. A heavy truck accident on the Sam Houston Parkway counterclockwise at the toll plaza just past 290 has traffic backed up almost all the way back to 249. 288 inbound at the Sam Houston Parkway. There's a wreck still being cleared on the feeder there. Go Freeway, Dixie Farm Road downtown. 23 minutes of excitement. And we now continue with KPFT's Open Journal program with host Duane Bradley and Marlo Blue.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, too. And we are here, of course, with Egberto Willies. Very happy to have him here with us. I'm Marlo Blue.
I'm Duane Bradley, and we appreciate you being there, and we appreciate your support of this independent voice, this experiment in media democracy, this O2 rare space on the media landscape. Thank you for finding it, supporting it, nurturing it, and being a part of it. We appreciate that very much. Egberto, so give us a little conceptual slice of your life. Where do you come from? What are you all about? And how did you come to be the guy who does a show called Politics Done Right on KPFT?
It was a crazy journey. Actually, from high school days, I think I always had that political drive. But when I got to the States, at the University of Texas, I came through Blinn College, believe it or not, playing
out in Brenham.
Out in Brenham, Texas.
Yeah,
I have a story, but I don't have enough time to tell you that story. It's a good one that will make. I told Marlo a few times ago. Brenham, Texas. Brenham, Texas. But anyhow, after I spent 1 year playing the tuba and the bass guitar there, I went to the University of Texas.
You're a thumper.
Oh yes, don't remind me. Don't remind me. Anyhow, but
that's a longer story.
Anyhow, I back at University of Texas. I don't know if you remember, it was apartheid days in South Africa, and University of Texas had a whole lot of money invested through the Permanent University Fund in South Africa. So we had
marched against that divestment movement, Free South Africa campaign.
You remember that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so we had that big thing on campus, and it's funny because we thought we were militants. We'd have the beret on and the boots, and we'll go out on the campus, and we'll have the flags that says the University of Texas, get out of South Africa and all that good stuff, you know. And then, you know, what happens afterwards is you get out of college and you have to make some money. So I was an engineer in corporate world for a while, but at the same time, blogging with a pseudonym. And I won't say the pseudonym. I don't want the NSA to come and get me.
Go back track on you.
Like they don't know.
They already know.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, all this time blogging, you know, and then after a while, though, I decided, you know, when I did that for years, decades, actually. Then when my daughter was done with high school, I said, you know what? I don't have to hide anymore because I don't have to be worried about them giving her a hard time for her lefty dad or anything like that. So that's when I started to put my stuff back out there and started blogging. But I've been with Daily Kos from the time they started.
Wow.
You know, so I've been doing it under a pseudonym and that sort of stuff for a long time. Now,
I lost track of you in Austin, though. So what are you doing in Houston? What are you doing at KPFT?
Okay, what am I doing in Houston? I worked for NASA for a long time, buddy. But anyhow, and then I came after I started doing my blog. I met a few people out here, and I did a few little programs here and there when they needed some subs, because I've always done the radio on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that you guys had a little bit of space. And by the way, I've been a contributor for a long time, so
thank you very
that
much.
Too. You know, not just an empty suit or whatever. You know, so you know, I put in the proposal, and the proposal got accepted, and I was lucky that I was around you guys who's kind of held the hands to come on in.
Well, we're lucky
very
you're here. That's
fortuitous for all of us, I would say.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I mean, I think this is the best place to be to get stuff out, right?
Right. I agree with that. Well, do you like having a call-in show on Thursdays now?
I love having a call. I love the Thursday slot. Mm-hmm. I love a call-in show because I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that believe in the masses, you know, and I believe everybody should have a voice. And I think, I mean, if you go to, if you listen to talk radio right now, if you don't follow or toe a particular line, you don't get a chance to get into that audience or to get on that show. One of the things I wanted to do with Politics Done Right is to tell everybody, conservative, libertarian, communist, Democrat, whatever you want to be, if you have something to say, hey, guess what? I want to hear it. And the folks that are folks listening to the show, they want to hear it. And then, we can talk about it and, we can flame it. We can do whatever. But as long as, if you have something to say, I believe you should have your voice to say it. So that's what real democracy is all about. And that's what I believe.
Well, where can people go to read your blog?
EgbertoWillies.com is my general purpose political blog. That's EgbertoWillies.com. And for the radio show, the one that has all the good stuff, including a donate button to KPFT. Remember, my site has a donate button to KPFT, so get there and donate at Politics Done Right to make sure that KPFT stays on air.
And it is something we're trying to do, of course. And just a reminder to everybody, we really do need you to give that extra little bit right now to the transmitter fund that's on that Indiegogo site. The new transmitter needs to come and be installed. None of this will happen if you can't hear us.
I placed that thing all over the place when I saw that thing. It's like, we want to, make sure so that we can hear all these great shows, right?
Hey, and just a quick update on the Transmission Possible campaign on Indiegogo. During the last 30 minutes since we talked about it on this program, 5 people have donated. The amount has been raised from $8,074 to $8,536 on our way to 20 plus.
Wow.
That's just wonderful.
That is great. Social media is magic. So don't forget, folks who are who saw that stuff on your social page, share it.
Well, all right, so this afternoon, what's your show going to be about?
Today, we're going to talk about the Sandra Bland case a bit, but mostly we're going to, or I think, some of our callers are going to bring that up, so I'll be ready for that. But what I really want to cover is what occurred at Netroots Nation, where Senator Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley, they got interrupted by the Black Lives Matter activist group. I'm actually going to interview Patrice Collars, and she is the woman who actually started that entire movement. She and 2 others. You know what I'm kind of happy about?
What?
I got the interview before.
You scooped Amy Goodman. Say it.
Amy, go
Revel
ahead.
in it.
We're
Revel
proud.
in it.
I didn't want to say it like that, but I hounded that young lady for the last 2 days because she's a very busy woman, and I really wanted to get her on live, and I couldn't, and she said, "Oh, can we do it another time?" And that would have been another week. It would have been out of the. So I said, "We can record."
Yeah.
So
sure.
we got a good recording out of it that I'm going to put out here, and we're going to listen to a 17-minute recording of an interview with her, telling us why her group did what they did, and why they needed to do what they did.
So Egberto Willies on Politics Done Right is going to be talking about Patrice Collars today, as well as Sandra Bland. Be sure and tune in 3 p.m. KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston, 89.5 in Galveston, and always on the World Wide Web at kpft.org. Egberto, I miss you. I don't get to see you on Thursdays anymore.
I miss
so
you.
This is great.
But she still hears you.
Yeah, I do. I do get to listen. Your lines are always too busy for me to call in.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that is it for us. Thank you for joining us this morning on Open Journal. While we do need to close the conversation on the air, we do want to know what you think. So let us know by reaching out to KPFT Houston on Facebook and at KPFT on Twitter. I'm Marlo Blue. Please visit kpft.org to listen again to today's programs for links, guest info, so much more. Special thanks to Hedy Van Bakel, Raul Ramos, Nikki Spence, and our engineer Patrick for all their help on today's show. Tomorrow on Open Journal, it's Larry Spacek. He's the president of the San Jacinto Museum. We're going to be talking about a new exhibition there. Should be fun.
It's going to be great. Stay with us. Coming up in just a few moments at 9 o'clock, we bring you Alternative Radio Today. It's hosted by David Barsamian, and on his program today, Marjorie Cohn is going to be speaking about extra-legal murders committed by our United States government using weaponized drones. That's right after the bird note that concludes the Open Journal Hour here on KPFT. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for tuning in. And we leave you with a thought for the day. Today it comes from Linda Hasselstrom, who said, "Sit outside at midnight and close your eyes. Feel the grass, the air, the space. Listen to the birds for 10 minutes at dawn. Memorize a flower. Take care of each other."
You have been listening to Open Journal, KPFT's experiment in community-inspired radio. Every weekday, KPFT hosts interviews, music, and culture to inform, enlighten, and illuminate your day. Our programming is made possible by people like you. KPFT depends on listener donations to stay on the air. Please make a tax-deductible contribution, day or night, for independent radio at kpft.org. We welcome ideas for topics and guests, and comments about today's program. Visit kpft.org to share your thoughts, or find us on Twitter at KPFT and on Facebook at KPFT Houston. Please stay tuned for more great programming next hour and the rest of the day. Find our complete program schedule and membership information at kpft.org. And thank you for listening to commercial-free, listener-sponsored 90.1.